But first, I got to tell you, I almost didn't get into the studio tonight after being caught in a massive traffic jam. Roads filled with thousands of pro-Palestinian supporters urging Hamas to accept Donald Trump's peace deal and end the genocide. OK, you know that's not true. And the fact you know it's not true tells you everything. The first thing that needs to be said about Trump's bold plan to end the Gaza conflict announced today is that it exposes the pro-Palestinian movement for what I've always suspected it to be. It's an anti-Israel movement rather than a peace movement. If there really was a genocide occurring in Gaza, you'd expect pro-Palestinians to be rejoicing at Trump's plan. An immediate ceasefire, a phased withdrawal by Israel, humanitarian aid flooding into the war-torn region. If the Palestinians are experiencing a genocide, then surely this weekend we should expect to see thousands marching across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Bob Carr will lead the conga line and Ed Husic will be firing confetti cannons, urging Hamas to accept the peace deal. Who knows? Rather than carrying portraits of the Ayatollah, the crowd may even parade with images of Donald Trump in appreciation for convincing Israel to end the genocide. I can't believe I said all of that with a straight face. I think we know it won't happen. And isn't that damning? Greens deputy leader Mehreen Faruqi posted this on Instagram after Trump's peace plan was announced, with the caption, "Palestinians should determine their own future, not colonial powers. End the genocide, sanction Israel, free Palestine." So she wants an end to the genocide, just not an end to the genocide like the end to the genocide announced today. You know, I've got some sympathy. If the war stops, what will the deputy leader of the Greens have to talk about? It's not like the environment interests her or her colleagues these days. Speaking of which, Senator Sarah Hanson-Young said she was very concerned about the peace plan. Have a listen to this.
Donald Trump would like to be the king of the world if he got his way.
That's her response? Like they say, if Trump came up with a cure for cancer, the Greens would accuse him of putting oncologists out of work. I guess you have to admire the senator's single-minded focus, though. Never let a Middle East peace plan that'll end the genocide and finally end the suffering of Palestinians get in the way of hating on Donald Trump. She went on to say this.
It seems very clear to me that what is missing at the heart of this is to stop the genocide of innocent people and to protect the innocent lives of children who have been bearing the brunt of this brutal war.
A stop to the brutal war isn't what's missing from the plan. It is the plan. But not everything Senator Hanson-Young said was inaccurate.
I'm, of course, not across all of the details of the proposed arrangement.
That part of what she said today, that was true. Of course, I'm not saying there isn't terrible suffering in Gaza. But if there's mass starvation and the genocide, then Hamas, not to mention all those who support Palestine, would immediately embrace the deal, right? If there was an actual genocide, as we've been repeatedly told, pro-Palestinian supporters would be screaming for Hamas, accept Trump's deal. Here's what happened outside the White House right after Trump and Netanyahu held out the olive branch. Donald Trump had the leader of Israel standing right beside him, offering an immediate end to hostilities. And the crowd outside responded with, "Long live the Intifada? If the genocide doesn't end on our terms, we prefer it continues?" You can't make this stuff up. Unless everything we've heard about a genocide for the past 2 years has been a lie. Again, just to be clear, I'm not for a moment saying there hasn't been tragic suffering in Gaza. Of course there has. Which is why, if you care about the Palestinians, and we all should, and the protesters say they do, well then you'd cheer for Trump's plan that promises the immediate cessation of hostilities. Wouldn't you? Calling yourself pro-Palestinian while rejecting an American peace plan backed by Arab and Muslim states, well, that's not solidarity, it's heartless warmongering by people obsessed with fighting Israel to the last dead Palestinian. And here's another thing. Numerous Arab states have thrown their support behind Trump's 20-point peace plan.
Just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. The Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal, that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific.
So now it's the US, Israel, Qatar, Egypt, Pakistan, the Saudis against Hamas and a bunch of Western University art students. Can you imagine Islamic states all supporting Trump's plan while pro-Palestinian supporters do not? But it's not only the pro-Palestinian supporters who are exposed by Trump's peace plan. The plan, which offers a clear pathway for Hamas to surrender, release hostages and hand over Gaza to an interim authority, shows the utter emptiness of Anthony Albanese's grandstanding over recognising a Palestinian state.
We recognise the legitimate and long-held aspirations of the people of Palestine of a state of their own. And in doing so, we reaffirm Australia's long-standing position of two states, the State of Israel and the State of Palestine.
That announcement may have earned our PM a round of high fives at the United Nations, something he'll no doubt treasure forever, but made not a jot of difference to the lives of Palestinians. Ironically, Albanese even made a virtue of the fact that his government's decision to recognise Palestine flew in the face of our American allies.
Our foreign policy isn't determined in Washington or Beijing or Wellington, for that matter.
Well, what a pity our foreign policy isn't determined more closely with Washington. We could have been part of a historic peace deal. That's not to say we didn't get a mention.
Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades.
So there you go, we did get a shout out, one of the foolish allies. Our government was using the UN General Assembly as a platform to woo voters in Western Sydney, while the real peace work was being done by the US. As a one-time close ally of both Israel and the United States, we could have been part of the peace plan. Instead, well, all we got was a selfie. Here's Anthony Albanese today saying he welcomed Trump's peace plan.
Australia welcomes President Trump's plan to bring peace to Gaza after 2 years of conflict and a devastating loss of life.
It's the equivalent of turning up to a wedding uninvited and then clapping along like you organised it. The statement from Anthony Albanese only served to demonstrate just how far away from the pulse of real-world politics our student activist leaders, Anthony Albanese, Penny Wong and Tony Burke, really are. They've spent the past week doing a victory lap for recognise a Palestinian state that doesn't exist, as if they'd actually done something, and now welcome President Trump's actual plan that offers actual peace. Now, who knows whether Hamas will accept Trump's deal? But anyone who cares about Israeli and Palestinian lives should demand that they do. A failure to do so would expose Hamas for the terrorists they are. And as for pro-Palestinian supporters, well, it seems to me that if you aren't desperately hopeful for this peace deal to succeed, you're neither pro-peace nor pro-Palestinian, and you're certainly not pro-humanity. You're just anti-Israel, preferring dead Palestinians to letting Israel exist. Now, I'm sure that's not the case. I look forward to pro-Palestinian marchers blocking the Melbourne and Sydney CBDs this weekend, chanting, "Thank you, Donald Trump," and waving peace signs. I'll wait.